It's February 2026, and you're watching The Dump. Probably because PBS has run out of money. I'm your host, Rebecca Barnard, and if you're new to the show, welcome. The Dump is where all the news belongs, because if you haven't noticed, everything going on in the world feels like hot garbage right now. We started this show to help you stay up to date, but also to help you process it all by sorting and collecting the trash that is current events and compacting it into a small, little, unrecyclable episode. A lot has happened since our last episode in December. Taylor Swift's fiancé failed to make it to the Super Bowl, Epstein continues to haunt us from beyond the grave, and Venezuela apparently beat Puerto Rico and DC to become the 51st state. But first, I am excited to announce that this episode is our first sponsored episode by companies who couldn't quite afford a Super Bowl ad. So this episode is brought to you by Monolingo, Duolingo for conservatives, and by Actual Currency, US dollars. It's cryptocurrency for your pocket. Let's start off by talking about the Super Bowl. About 125 million people in the United States watched the Super Bowl this year, making it the most watched program in NBC's history. Not bad, said Real Football, with 1.5 billion regular World Cup viewers. But it was this year's halftime show that made all the news and got all the attention. Bad Bunny's performance featured Lady Gaga, Ricky Martin, and even included a live wedding, while the Turning Point USA alternative concert has reportedly led to at least 7 separations already. In other U.S. news, a federal grand jury has refused to indict the Democrats who urged the military to reject illegal orders. In a totally unrelated story, that grand jury woke up this morning in an El Salvadorian prison. And Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine has announced her re-election bid for a 6th term, which is so embarrassing. The things people have to do to try and keep their health insurance these days. Go on. And just this week, Gallup announced it will no longer measure presidential approval. Now that it's turned 88 years old, it will instead be running for president. Speaking of presidents, Donald Trump, president of the Kennedy Center, and unfortunately also the United States, announced the center's closure for 2 years for, quote, complete rebuilding. So we called Trump's architect, Frankie Lloyd White, to get the scoop.
I am honored to bring my experience designing the Google Glass, the Cybertruck, and the new Cracker Barrel to this project.
Speaking of, what's the new Trump Kennedy Center going to look like?
Picture the old Kennedy Center, but without the Kennedy or the center. Now picture the Fire Festival, but with marble armrests.
But you're going to preserve the historical artifacts, right?
My goal is to have the center up and running in time for the premiere of Melania, Too Fast, Too Furious. It has to be totally redesigned for upcoming performances, like the Vance Rubio UFC fight, Epstein the musical, and Trump's 3rd inauguration.
So glad you'll be continuing to showcase high art.
That's Eric. I'm also working on the greatest subdivision like nothing the world has ever seen before. Jared and I and our good friends in Saudi Arabia can't wait to welcome you to the Trump International Resort and Spa at Gaza Shores.
Jared is in charge of the Kennedy Center renovation? Let's move on. A Pentagon plan to use a high-energy counter-drone laser without coordinating with the FAA about potential risks to civilian flights caused the airspace to be shut down over El Paso, Texas on Wednesday, because apparently Pete Hegseth can only keep a secret when he's not supposed to.
Ooh.
But let's take a break from politics with some Olympics news. Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn needed 3 surgeries on her fractured tibia, which means that hospital visit is going to cost her an arm and a leg. Thank goodness she's getting these medical procedures in Europe. Also, Olympic athletes' medals are apparently breaking, but that's what happens when you keep fighting them. And in case you're wondering, yes, President Trump is watching the Olympics, and he's even written a new executive order for 10 ways to make the Olympics great again. Number 10, the luge must now be pronounced the way Trump pronounces huge. Number 9, the only music ice skaters can use is the song YMCA. 8, non-American gold medal winners are strongly encouraged to gift their medals to Trump or face tariffs and/or invasion. 7, Canada has to compete under a 51st state flag. 6, mixed curling teams must now be separated by birth gender. Men throw, women sweep, preferably in the kitchen. 5, Olympic Village is now going to be referred to as Mar-a-Lago Olympic Village. 4, all biathletes will be forced to attend conversion therapy camps. 3, McDonald's will be running the water stations in the marathon, giving out American-made Diet Coke instead of water. 2, the opening ceremony will be replaced with a mandatory screening of the Melania documentary. And 1, all ice skaters are now required to cover their faces. In science news, NASA announced it will finally allow astronauts to take smartphones into space, a place most known for excellent T-Mobile coverage. And a new study found that caterpillars hear with their hair, but the real question is, do they listen? Meanwhile, researchers have uncovered evidence that Romans used human feces in medical treatments, and we thought the American healthcare system was shit. In business news, Amazon laid off thousands of employees this month. Employees were reportedly sad for the lost career opportunities, but excited to finally be able to use the bathroom. Jeff Bezos' other business, the Washington Post, also laid off hundreds of employees in February, but not to worry, Bezos is simultaneously creating plenty of jobs by hiring seat fillers in theaters showing the Melania documentary. In entertainment news, President Trump apparently signed an executive order aimed at launching an IndyCar race on the streets of Washington, DC this summer during the celebration of America's 250th birthday. In the meantime, if you want to see people in our nation's capital going in circles and ending up back where they started, you can attend a session of Congress. And finally, Nashville has been named the most affordable city for a romantic getaway. The most expensive? A Coldplay concert. Thanks for watching. We know it's rough out there, so until next time, remember to take time to laugh, and as always, stay trashy.